Welcome back, everyone. Michael here with Offshore Citizen. Today we're continuing our citizenship by investment reviews. So if you haven't already, you can check out, I've reviewed a bunch of the other ones earlier. So I went over Vanuatu, Turkey, Malta. I don't remember if there's any other that are posted by this point in time, but today we're going to talk about Georgia. Okay, so this is going to be our first unofficial citizenship by investment review that I'm going to talk about. These are ones that I don't normally talk too much about. There's a variety of different reasons for that, but we're going to go through and we're going to review it for you here. I'll explain to you how it works. It's kind of interesting in part because it's been on again, off again. So for people who are interested, they should probably take advantage of it while it is on, in case it might disappear. I'll explain to you a little bit about kind of what has gone on in the throws back and forth on this. So anyway, if you're at all interested in this subject, stick around. I'm going to explain it to you. I'll tell you my perspective on it compared to the other programs out there, whether I think it's good, whether I think it's bad, what I think the pros are, what I think the cons are, the types of people who are attracted to it and going for it. So like I said, stick around. Before we get into it though, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell if you haven't already. Make sure you don't miss out on any of our videos. Really appreciate when you do that. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you're at all interested in citizenship by investment programs, citizenship by donation, getting a second passport, getting residencies, moving abroad, optimizing your tax, etc., reach out to us. You can book a call with me, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmer. There's a link in the description below. Or you can check out our websites, offshorecitizen.net, offshorecapitalist.com, and you can send us a message through there. Okay, let's get started. So for those of you who don't know, Georgia is kind of I don't know what you would call it. It's questionable whether it's European or not. They would consider themselves European. I think culturally it's more European than it is Asian, but it's kind of like on the very border of where Asia and Europe meet. And so, it's a little bit questionable in terms of which one you want to categorize it as. But certainly culturally, I would say it is more European. They've got fantastic wine. Definitely, they're kind of like the foundation of wine. I love the wine there. It's an inexpensive place to be, is a place that in a bunch of regards is really developing, up and coming. Of the former kind of Soviet states, they had a really effective anti-corruption regime that they did back a number of years ago, and there's still kind of some positive momentum that has come out of that, which is great. They've eliminated a lot of bureaucracy, they made things work quite well, tried to model themselves after Singapore and kind of moved to some extent in that direction, certainly not the same, but yeah, very interesting place to go, and I've done some videos on that in the past. So they have it's like a citizenship by exception, I guess you would call it, program. So it's not an official citizenship by investment program, meaning you can't go out onto some website and find it, etc. It's based on contribution that you make to the country of Georgia and the endorsement by significant Georgians. So that's how it works. It is one that it was open for some period of time, and then maybe for like the last year and a half or so, it ended up not being available. In particular, what had happened was they had added the requirement that you had to do a Georgian language test, which is normally part of the process of becoming a citizen of Georgia. You have to do this language if you go through the naturalization process. And who's going to learn the Georgian language? I mean, they have their own alphabet, which is kind of cool, but not so practical for most people. So that kind of had killed it off. However, it is back, which is excellent. We always like when there's extra options. So you don't have to do a language test. And actually, for the first time ever, it's possible to do it without visiting Georgia. You can visit a Georgian embassy, and so that is also really good. So let's go through the situation here. So let's talk about visa-free travel first. Georgia has, I think it's 114 countries of visa-free travel or visa on arrival access. It's like a mid-tier passport. So it's certainly not great. It's definitely not a top-tier passport. It's not a terrible passport either. It's kind of mid-tier. So to give you some idea, you get the Schengen zone, which is great. You do not get UK. You do not get Ireland. You do not get Russia. You do not get China. Kind of surprising that you don't get Russia, given the geographic location, but you don't. You do get Brazil, which is one that sometimes people are interested in, and you get a decent portion of South America. It's not great for Central America. You don't get Mexico, Canada, or the US. You don't get Australia, New Zealand, or Japan. So of some of the countries that are typically a little bit harder to get to, it doesn't have great coverage there. but it gives you, a lot of people are interested because it has the Schengen access, right? And then a lot of the other places, like it has decent Southeast Asian access, so that's good. And, so pros and cons. I would say it's, it's not a great passport, it's an okay passport, right? However, because of the fact that it's an unofficial program, and because of the fact that, people from there might be more culturally similar to where you're from, depending on where you're from, some people really like this. So the basic idea is, if you look at a place like Vanuatu, I've done a review on their program before, okay, it's an easy passport to get, not too terribly expensive, etc. But because of that, it's kind of got blacklisted. And so if you show up at a bank in Singapore with a Vanuatu passport, that's not likely to work out so well for you, right? Georgia, you're not going to have any issues, right? So there's kind of this old expression of, hey, listen, you might show up at a Swiss bank with, some Caribbean passport, and they're going to look at you and say, great, where's your other passport? Now it's possible you renounced or something like that, but this is a little bit of a stigma that you're not going to get from Georgia because Georgia doesn't have an official program. So we like that. Okay, so in terms of visa-free access, kind of middle of the road, better than Turkey, worse than Malta by far. In terms of kind of reputation of the passport, we like it. It's good. Georgians don't have any issues in that regard. We find that for banking, etc., works out very well. In terms of speed, you can get it very fast, like 2 months. Okay, so very quick process right now, which is excellent. We like that a lot. In terms of cost, you're typically going to pay 190 to 200,000, just depending on what kind of the individual circumstances are. Now, that is a donation, so that goes away. However, that is also inclusive of all the fees. So if you were to look, for example, at some of the Caribbean ones that maybe they are 150,000 donation, but by the time you've paid the fees, it's 165, 170, like somewhere in that range. So here, this is an all-in price. For that price, you can also have some dependents in there. So again, when you consider that, it's actually quite a reasonable deal. So from a price standpoint, I would say it's not like the most price competitive, but it's pretty decent. It's not like you have a crazy cost, and so it works out fairly well. So that's in regard to cost. What about in terms of, would you want to go live there, right? So it turns out that Georgia actually has a pretty good tax system. So if you were in a situation you actually wanted to go live there, I think this is one of the other advantages that people like about Georgia as a passport to get, as compared with, say, some of the Caribbean ones, is like, are you going to go and live in Antigua? Probably not, right? Probably not ever. Like, most people will just never go. Same thing with Vanuatu. Whereas Georgia, you may actually go live there. You may actually go invest there, etc. And so that could have a benefit for you. So I think Georgia is a reasonable kind of middle of the road passport. If you want to get something fast, it works pretty well. It's open to a lot of people from around the world. The price is not super cheap by any stretch, but definitely not super expensive either. And the reputation of it is quite good. So yeah, I would put it kind of in that category. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm going to continue to review these different programs. I'm going to go through and explain again some of the other unofficial ones, as well as we're going through all the rest of the official ones. So stay tuned for those. If you haven't already, smash the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, make sure you don't miss out. And if you have any interest in being helped out with second citizenships, residencies, tax planning, etc., reach out to us. Again, you can book a call with me, clarity.fm/Michael Rosmark, give the video a thumbs up, and I'm going to see you guys on the next video.